What I want to do now is really quickly, I have a pour of the previous year, and let's just do a quick comparison to see how different they are on that quick, like, one sip, right? Yes, this is nowhere near as sweet on the nose. Now, granted, it's been open for quite a while, comparatively, but that big, like, brown sugar note is just not present. And the ethanol is a little more mellow, but we could probably equate that to this being a fresh crack compared to this having been open for a while. I bet as this sits open, that ethanol that sits on the nose will tame down a little bit, and it will be closer to what I'm getting here, just a little bit more sweetness on it. Quick taste, and we'll compare that real fast. Ooh, so that like prune raisin thing is way stronger here because it doesn't have that upfront like brown sugar sweetness to kind of tame that down. And there's actually more of the like, I would say bitter fruit note as opposed to a bitter oak note. I think in the most recent release, there's a little bit more bitter oak toward the finish, where this, about mid-palate, has a kind of bittery fruit note that I would ascribe more to like something in the way that prunes taste compared to, say, the opposing one tastes. I know I said one sip, but the oak presence is less strong in this one. It kind of stays more that like universal set of notes throughout the pour. It doesn't go on quite the ride that the newer one does. So I was going to say, if you were looking for a 1924, try to find a more recent one. It's a little sweeter. I would actually probably put this just like about a point below. I think the little extra sweetness for my palate is more interesting. Evolution of it, where it goes from sweet into that with kind of oak influence, bitter, lightly bitter note, is more interesting a ride over here. But they're not so different that it's like one is a 68 and the other is like a 60. I would say it's more like one's a 67 and one's a 68. They're both decent whiskey, do not get me wrong, but I think at their price point, there's just a lot of other better whiskey you can get, especially in that lower proof range. A similar thing I would pick up in this price range, or at least what I can typically find in this price range. It's not a 10-year product, but H. Taylor Single Barrel. This is way more up my profile. Pretty similar in price in the Washington State area, at least for me. Even though I know that's not its MSRP, that's usually what they go for. I would probably rather have that than the Old Forester. But there are a lot of people who are going to like that darker fruit note and that upfront sweetness, and they won't find anything wrong with the little bitter note. I know a lot of people who like heavy influence from their oak to get that more tannic presence, and in that case, you're going to like the 1924 quite a lot.